Welcome to the quietest ones in the room with your host, Trey. I gotta say, just the mere fact that you clicked onto this video and you are listening to the sound of my voice, you by far are the most intelligent people on the face of the planet. So once again, thank you for joining me. Here we go again. We must talk about it, what I call the new normal. But before we get into it, let's talk about what has happened as of recent, and it's the reality that the trade war, of which it's been called, a deal has been made, and it's over as far as we know. The United States and China have reached a deal. And yet, what's still taking place is the reality that your job isn't as safe as it once used to be. And what I simply mean by that is what I want to point out regarding a company that we've all heard of and we know, which is Microsoft. Microsoft is laying off about 6,000 people, or 3% of its workforce, in an effort to reduce management layers. Microsoft is a very profitable company. It's a software business. And as a business, Microsoft has been able to weather every storm that we've seen economically and come out on top, and come out more and more profitable every single time. So as we know, many companies started complaining about forward guidance and how tariffs were to negatively affect the business, its bottom line, its revenue, its expansion. Well, Microsoft could certainly weather the storms of a tariff. It's a behemoth of a company, but yet it found a way in the week of a trade deal being reached to still let go of 6,000 people. And they can come up with whatever excuse they like to, of which many other companies do. The reality is layoffs are going on at high numbers far too often. 6,000 people, that's a lot of people. That's about the size of the students that attend your local community college. 6,000 people is not a small number of individuals who are likely head of a household. Maybe, let's say half of them are married. Let's say 60% of them have children, the 75% of them have children. Who knows? But this really affects families in a negative way when you think about the types of individuals they said that they're targeting, which is at management level, and how these individuals are being thrown back out there in the midst of a tight job market, and companies aren't really looking to take on the salary requirements of many who would have worked at a place like a Microsoft. So I feel for many of these people who have lost their jobs going into the summer with the possibility that they may not find a job for the next 3 months, 6 months, to even a year. And I'm certain a company like Microsoft is giving them a severance package that's going to help them weather the storm. But the stress at a time when, even though a trade deal has been reached, inflation is still an issue. The housing market and the prices are still rising. And all the other things that we talk about over and over again are still rising. Autos, the cost of food and services. So the reality is once again that layoffs are the new normal. Last week, CrowdStrike announced it would lay off 5% of its workforce. Amazon recently mentioned it was going to be completing layoffs. You've got companies like Meta who have done massive layoffs as of recent. So the idea that you get up and you go to work for these companies, even if they're not big names, and you put all your time and energy into these organizations and these institutions, and you go to work, sacrifice your time with your family and your loved ones for some money, and you keep going in until one day they just lay you off. And you have no recourse. Hopefully, you've been able to save money and put it into your 401k and grow interest and have some type of a retirement nest egg. Or maybe you're a young professional and you didn't have that opportunity at that time. Money was too tight to put into your 401k. So once again, we understand that the loyalty that you may have for organizations, they don't have for you. And so while the idea of people jumping ship from a company after 2 and 3 years of working there may not be going on as frequently, maybe people need to reconsider that again and keep their eyes open and continue to try to look out for their best interests, because the companies are clearly going to look out for themselves. So in total, it's likely that Microsoft's largest round of layoffs of 6,000 will be its largest since its elimination of 10,000 roles in 2023. And they had just had a small round of layoffs in January. So it begs to ask, is it technology? Is AI really starting to replace many levels of positions in corporate America in the tech space? Maybe, I don't know. Are companies able to operate lean and not have as many in their workforce any longer? Scale down? I don't know. But it should be worrying that in the midst of a trade deal which is taking place, which made everyone nervous about the economy, at least the top companies and these CEOs, I'm so nervous and we don't know what we're going to do moving forward. But the trade deal was made, and so you would think, well, let's retain some of our employees because now we could possibly look forward to an economic boom. But this goes back to one thing that is certain. Jerome Powell needs to lower interest rates. Maybe that is the key. Maybe, just maybe. Because I recall during the pandemic when interest rates were being lowered, people were getting hired left and right and their wages were increasing substantially. So we shall see. I don't know the future, but I don't like the optics of this. All these layoffs. Luckily, I don't worry about it because I am self-employed and I've been self-employed for 6 years. But I feel for those that have to go through it because I once worked in corporate America and I know what it's like to put your time, effort, and energy into a company and they call you, they tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, HR would like to see you. Go up there and tell you we're going to let you go, not because of anything that you did wrong, but because we need to cut the fat. And here is a check to take care of yourself for a small amount of time, even though you've been here for almost 5, 10, 15 to 20 years. It happens. So here we are, and who knows, we've had a lot going on this year in 2025. And I know everyone just wants some type of relief financially and wants some type of security. But maybe that's just not the year for that. And I don't know when it's going to return. I don't know if it's ever going to return. But people I know need options. People need to feel like even if they do lose their job, they can just go somewhere else and get that income replaced sooner rather than later. So you can take care of your family and take care of yourself. So anyhow, please share your thoughts in the comment section. Have you experienced a layoff recently? Do you know of anyone who's experienced a layoff recently? And it's a traumatic experience, honestly, because I personally know too many people I've spoken to this year who have been laid off at some. If I mention the names of these companies they were laid off, you guys would all know them, the companies. And I don't want to name names, but many of these people that I know, luckily they had a little bit of a nest egg and they found other opportunities since then. But it wasn't like it was a quick turnaround. It's quicker than most because many of the people I know, for the most part, are middle management, upper management. But anyhow, please share your thoughts in the comment section. Please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, until next time.